Hi, Anoop and Megha. Thank you so much for chatting with me. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
I'm really excited to talk to you about arranged marriage. It's a fascinating film, and I really am grateful for the chance to chat. Anoop, let's start with you. I was wondering where did you get the idea for the film? What made you want to tell this story?
Growing up, there wasn't very much representation in film for second, third generation South Asians in the West, and there tended to be um, basically kind of two subgenres of films that did exist, sort of like the feel-good ethnic film, where everything is sort of like kind of sanitized, vanilla, like I said, feel-good ethnic, and then there was kind of like the cautionary tales, the cautionary ethnic, I should say. So I kind of wanted to neither one of them in reality felt authentic to our true experience. I wanted to make a film that was kind of poking fun of them to a certain extent, but also just in general a satirical film told from the perspective of second, third generation South Asians that that felt true and kind of was a different perspective from something that we've seen in the past. So, like I said, it's a satirical take on the perception of arranged marriage, and it's a what I like to think is it's sort of a fresh perspective that we haven't seen in the past from a South Asian film.
Absolutely. Oh wait, are you saying this wasn't a feel-good film? Kidding. I'm kidding, of course.
No, no, no.
Not the way it ends. No. Yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate that. Mega, you're playing. Is it Kamala or Kamali?
Kamali.
Pardon?
Kamali.
Kamali.
And yeah.
Yes. I was wondering about your take on Kamali and her journey and her character. Is there something some way that you connected with her or the way that she is not portrayed, but the way that she changes throughout the film.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was initially a little apprehensive to play her just because I was like, I don't know if this is gonna if I can do justice to her character, just because I don't personally I have not gone through the experience of having an arranged marriage, or the notion of it hasn't really ever been brought up in my house. And so that initially scared me. But then as I got to know her better and understand her better and spend more time playing her, I realized there's not much that's different between her and I. This tension to either, this divide that a lot of South Asian women face, or men, to sort of please our parents or to go ahead and pursue a life that makes us happy. And again, like obviously a happy medium can be reached. I'm just saying that like I personally face that, and in terms of education, my parents wanted me to pursue something more academic, and I wanted to pursue the arts. And so I kind of brought that understanding from my own life into what Cammy's going through. And
Yeah, well, she really is caught between two worlds. You notice that right from the outset of the film as well. Um, for you both, I think that you're absolutely right. The idea of representation, and especially for South Asian community on screen, is so important. As you were Anoop, as you were developing the film, I was wondering, were there any particular elements of culture that you felt were most important to represent? I know it is a satire, but to bring that representation on screen.
Um, well, like I said, the sort of like the two main I don't want to call them stereotypes, but two big cultural elements like arranged marriage and honor killings. So those are kind of like the two pillars of the film in the sense that I kind of wanted to um, that those are kind of the structure I wanted to build off of that, and then everything kind of flowed from that. And like I said, it's something that for someone who a second, third generation person will understand the entire thing is they'll understand the satirical nature of it. But I wanted it to be that someone who actually thinks like certain negative things of the culture, I kind of wanted to serve them exactly what they think in an exaggerated way.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. Exactly. And, you know, like as you said, you both said before, you know, this is very clearly a satire, and there is some, and we're dealing with stereotypes, as you had said through, right, as you had said there. I'm wondering, as you're for your both, in a film like this, um, I was wondering how do you decide the line between satire and stereotype, if that's a question that can ask, because it you want to send up and you know exaggerate over exaggerate these stereotypes that are there
Mm,
without reinforcing them to people that don't actually understand the differences. If you understand what I'm saying,
hmm hmm
I'm just wondering how you decide where the line is between those things.
Well, I kind of made a conscious effort to um, not spoon feed the audience.
Mm,
So there's one of the things that I'm happy the way the film turned out is that five different people with five different worldviews are going to have five different opinions on the film, and they're potentially all correct if they can, if they can offer up an opinion and they can back it up. There's plenty of material in the film that supports a variety of worldviews. So I don't want to, I didn't want to spoon feed the audience and say like this person good, this person bad. I wanted to leave plenty of scope for a person to interpret the film in a way that's reflective of their experiences.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, Megha, you know, your character goes on quite a ride. where where she begins and where she ends is there's quite a gambit across the board, shall we say? Um, I I'm interested. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your relationship with her boyfriend. I forget. Is Clive? Is the character Clive? Yes, in the film. Because he is a very interesting character to me, and that when he starts off, he's very supportive, but we see that sort of unravel throughout the film, and there's this sort of conversation. Actually, Anoop, you certainly can contribute to this as well, but there's this sort of almost revealing of racial undertones that he has been keeping silent throughout the film, or the pressure has brings them to the forefront, I guess is another way to describe it. And that made me think about this idea of racism in our culture. And I was wondering, do you think that the way that it exhibits itself in our culture has changed? Is it as prominent but maybe less overt, or is it the same as it always has been?
Well, there's an element of one of the underlying themes in the film is that, and this is why I wanted it to be satirical in nature, is because there's quite a few cynical, very cynical themes in the film. Sort of like people are ultimately tribalistic in nature, and everyone will kind of return to their tribe if stressed enough. So, and you kind of see this in the film as it plays out. But I think we're kind of advanced as a society enough where we can kind of have we can play with these types of stereotypes and racial elements and angles without without getting too upset.
It's a fascinating way to deal with the like you said the stereotypes. It's a fascinating way for these characters sort of to unravel, because it is a very it is a definitely a satire, but it's very dark satire at the same
Mm-hmm.
time. And as you said, there are these moments that are very difficult to
I
well.
think especially
Go ahead.
sorry to interrupt. That's kind of
No,
like these films or what I'm satirizing. They sort of always tend to end up like everything always works out.
no.
Like, and like everything always works out. We're all the same, and all this kind of stuff. And then it's like I thought it'd be very fun to say, well, what if it doesn't work out? And like, what if we're not all the same? And you just kind of have fun with that and see how far you can take it.
Megha, maybe I can ask this of you. I was just wondering what Anoop brings to the film as a writer director.
Well, I mean, besides being a lovely person to get to work with,
Absolutely.
it's so funny. There was never a moment that I remember seeing Anoop be like on edge or like, and if he was very, very much contained. He never lost it. He never yelled. He was just always very focused. And that was really nice to be around. I mean, in my perspective, he's a genius. I mean, that's why I was attracted to the script. He's telling the truth about our community from the second, third generation perspective, which was such a pleasure to read. And then, yeah, I mean, you don't often come by projects that are written by people who look like you and are of the same background. So that for me was just a joy, and it was my first film ever. So.
Oh, I appreciate that. And Anoop, I was asking about how did you know that you found your Kamala within Megha?
Yeah, it was. You kind of have a strong sense early on, like initially, you're going through the headshots and stuff, and you kind of immediately know who. You kind of shortlist them in your mind, and then you kind of just hope that, because once you see the headshot, you see this is like, yeah, this person would be perfect. You sort of just hope that everything else will fall into place to allow that person to be the person that you want. And then, so Meg, obviously, she had everything that we were looking for, and then she nailed it from like, then her first read was perfect, her second read was perfect, and then she was just so easy to work with, and then she was committed. So basically everything you wanted, she had and more. And so it was, like I said, we really, really lucked out with our cast. Megha obviously just was tremendous. The rest of the cast, everything fell into place really well.
Absolutely. Well, yes, absolutely. She does a great job, and I really appreciate the chance to speak to you both. And just as we wrap up here, I'm wondering from each of you what you hope the audience takes away from the film.
I hope that for people who watch it, that they, I want them to think a little, ideally. Well, in a best case scenario, I want them to, they should understand that it's a satire, because I think that your enjoyment of the film is significantly enhanced if you understand it's a satire, because there's so many, little nuances that will go over your head if you don't know it's a satire. But you can still enjoy the film tremendously, just, from a straight ahead story, and the plot is compelling. And, there's horror elements, there's comedy elements. So the film can be enjoyed on multiple levels, but it's, in my opinion, it's, if you understand the satirical nature, the enjoyment of it is at its best.
I agree. I hope people understand that it is a satire, and I hope people can relate to Cammy's character, and ultimately just have some humor around it, because it is, these are truthful topics and they are deep topics, but to have a little bit of humor around it, and yeah, that's what I prefer.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate it. And thank you both for the time to chat. I really do appreciate it. I wish you the best, and I wish you the best with the film.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you taking the time to talk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Thanks so much.
Take care.